Dr. CeCe, one of the registered dietitians with Kanema Fitness. Since the holidays are quickly approaching, I thought this would be a great time to review some holiday nutrition tips, as well as provide a fun recipe to create a balanced meal from your leftovers from your Thanksgiving feast. I commonly hear from clients that they feel out of control at their big holiday meal. This typically boils down to three big concerns. 1. Your big holiday meal typically ends up being later in the day. Because of that, many of my clients, we find that they're skipping meals earlier in the day to save up the calories for that big feast. While that may make sense in logic, what you're actually doing by skipping your meals earlier in the day is just setting yourself up for failure. Why? Well, because you are going into that big feast feeling starving. So once you're feeling starving, you are of course going to overdo it, and you are probably not listening to your hunger cues because your brain is turning off those hunger cues because it sees food right in front of you. You're getting ready to eat and sustain your body from the nutrients that you missed out on earlier in the day. When in reality, if you would have had breakfast and maybe a lunch or a bigger snack leading up to that bigger meal time, you would have gone into your meal feeling calm, at a normal hunger level, and probably would have made better choices in terms of portions. And that would go ahead and help save you from feeling so over-satiated from your meal. Number 2, you're probably not creating a balanced meal at your big feast. So even though it's a holiday, we still want to think about the principles of creating a balanced plate. And all of those components of a balanced plate are still very tasty. If you think of a Thanksgiving meal, for instance, you have your turkey, that's front and center. That is your protein. That is a component of your balanced plate. You also have some starches. So you have your sweet potato pie or your butternut squash or even mashed potatoes. That will serve as your carb source. We also have lots of vegetable options. So you have your green bean casserole, which has a little bit of extra, components added into it than just regular green beans, but come on, it's still a green bean, it still works. You also have other products like yams and cranberries. They still, even though are a little bit higher in carbs or a little bit higher in sugar than you typically would have for your vegetable, still count as a vegetable, still loaded with antioxidants, still loaded with phytonutrients, and still loaded with lots of fiber. There are also many vegetables that are uniquely available in the fall season that you can add to your Thanksgiving meal. For example, Brussels sprouts are in peak season during the Thanksgiving season, so it could be a great way to add an extra fiber into your meal. And that third reason why we tend to feel out of control with what we eat during the holiday season is because we tend to limit those foods to just the holiday, when in reality, no one's stopping you from having your Halloween candy a couple months earlier, or having the pumpkin pie in the summer, minus maybe not being able to find the pumpkin puree in the summer. But you can have these foods at all times. Allowing yourself to think that and keeping that in your mind will help you feel a little bit more in control and not feel like it's all or nothing. I have to eat this right now or else I'll never be able to eat it again. That's only going to restrict you. So those are just a few things to keep in mind this holiday season. If you have more questions or you're looking for more in-depth tips for the holiday season, feel free to send me an email and I would be happy to work with you one-on-one, or we can always discuss back and forth some extra tips that you can take into mind. So with that, let's get started with our leftover revamp into a balanced meal, and let's get into the leftover part. Okay, so my Thanksgiving leftovers that I'm going to utilize for this revamped recipe are roasted Brussels sprouts, and then I also have some roasted butternut squash, and then I'm going to go ahead and convert my cranberry sauce into a salad dressing, and we're going to make a balanced salad. I have a big bowl of pre-washed baby kale. I used baby kale just because sometimes I like using baby kale more than actual kale for a salad base. It tastes a little bit less bitter and it's just nice to switch it up a little bit. I also marinated it with some lemon juice. Sometimes that helps cut the bitterness in kale, adding that acid, and it helps add to the flavor profile as well. So I already did that, and so I have that in my bowl. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump some of the leftover Brussels sprouts in. You can reheat them up in the microwave if you want, or you can just let them go into the salad cold straight from the refrigerator, whatever your preference is with that. I'm gonna add some of the butternut squash into the salad. And so what's great about adding this butternut squash is that not only is it a vegetable you get to add to your salad, so it's a little extra fiber, but it's also a starchy vegetable, so you get to count this as your carb source for your salad. I have some leftover pecans from a pecan pie that I made, so I'm gonna add some of the chopped pecans to top it all off at the end. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab some things from my pantry just to, make this salad a little bit more exciting. So I have some hearts of palm from my pantry that I just typically have on hand every once in a while. And so sometimes I have corn on hand that could pair well with this salad. I also have some artichoke hearts that I think might pair well. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain these, rinse them out to reduce some of the sodium since they are canned. And then I will come back and add them to the salad. But you are welcome to add whatever fruits or vegetables that you think might look well with your Thanksgiving sides into your salad. So like I said, since they were canned vegetables, I went ahead and rinsed them with some water. And what's great about doing that is that it reduces the sodium content of your canned foods by 50%. Reducing sodium intake is great because naturally we have really high sodium intakes, so it's definitely specific per person based off of your specific lab values. So this is not necessarily general advice or advice for everyone, but for the wide public, we typically intake a higher large amount of sodium compared to what we actually need. So doing a quick little rinse of your canned products before consuming is a great way to help mitigate your sodium intake. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these chopped artichoke hearts and hearts of palm into my salad. It gives a change in texture and it gives another color to the salad as well. Like I said, I want to use some products that I already have in my kitchen. So I'm going to use an apple and just chop it up, and that'll give a crunchy texture to my salad, especially because some of these fruits and some of these vegetables in here are a little bit softer. So this will be a nice crunch along with the pecan. So my apple is diced. I have my pecans ready to add in, and I'm just going to pour it into my salad bowl right here. And now we get to work on our salad dressing. So I have my cranberry sauce from the fridge into this Pyrex measuring cup, and I also have some balsamic vinegar, and I have some white balsamic vinegar as well. And then I'm gonna add proportions of the two vinegars with the cranberry sauce and some water. This is gonna be dependent on your specific cranberry sauce recipe. I would do it by taste to get whatever consistency you want for the dressing. And so I'm gonna go ahead and use this mason jar. And it's gonna make the dressing creation a little bit easier because I can add that lid back on here and shake it up. So I'm just gonna add 2 tablespoons of cranberry sauce to start. And then pour a splash or 2 of white balsamic vinegar. And then we're gonna add the balsamic vinegar. Just a splash. Okay. I'm gonna start just by shaking it up because I can always add more water. Okay. This was a thicker cranberry sauce, Sometimes I make cranberry sauce with the whole cranberries and leave some of them whole. This was a total puree cranberry sauce that I made this time. So it's going to be a little bit thicker, so I might need to add some more water than I would typically use, or you would use if you had a thinner cranberry sauce to begin with. Okay, let's see. Yeah, right now it's looking a little thick, so I'm going to go ahead and add some water. Okay, so I accidentally added a little too much water, so I added about another tablespoon of cranberry sauce into the jar. Again, this is all kind of based off of what you want for your dressing, how thin you want it, kind of what cranberry sauce recipe you followed, and that's going to dictate this. Okay, let's see. It smells good. It's definitely thinner. It's thinned out, very much so. It still has a thick consistency, but that's kind of what I was going for, because I want it to be rich in the cranberry flavor, just to give myself a bold profile for this salad. Okay. And then I'm just gonna drizzle it on my salad. So I'll change this over here so you can see. Okay. And now we have an exciting new meal based off of foods that you already have in your fridge, from basic grocery shopping, as well as your leftovers. So it's a fun way to repurpose your leftovers without having that same Thanksgiving meal all over again. Again, my name is Dr. CeCe, the registered dietitian for Kenema Fitness. I'm always here to help answer questions. You can feel free to send me an email, reply to this email, newsletter, and I'd be happy to get in touch. Have a great rest of your November and happy holidays to all.